Kate DeCamillo's Tale of Despereaux, and we're going to read chapter 48 on the tail of a rat. Have you ever had a hold of a tail of a rat? At best, it is an unpleasant sensation, scaly and cold, similar to holding on to a small, narrow snake. At worst, when you are dependent upon a rat for your survival, and when a part of you is certain that you are being led nowhere except to your death, it is a hideous sensation, indeed, to have nothing but a rat's tail to cling to. Nonetheless, Despereaux held on to Botticelli Rimorso, and the rat led him deeper and deeper into the dungeon. Despereaux's eyes had, by this point, adjusted quite well to the darkness, though it would have been better if they had not, for the things he saw made him shiver and shake. What did he see? He saw that the floor of the dungeon was littered with tufts of fur, knots of red thread, and the skeleton of mice. Everywhere there were tiny white bones glowing in the darkness. And he saw in the dungeon tunnels through which Botticelli led him the bones of human beings too, grinning skulls and delicate finger bones, rising up out of the darkness and pointing towards some truth best left unspoken. Despereaux closed his eyes, but it didn't help. He saw as if his eyes were still open wide with bones, the tufts of hair, the knots of thread, the despair. Aha, exactly, Botticelli laughed as he recognized and negotiated the twists and turns. Oh yes, exactly. If what was in front of Despereaux was too terrible to contemplate, what followed behind him was perhaps even worse. Rats. A happy, hungry, vengeful parade of rats, their noses up in the air, sniffing. Mouse? Sang one rat joyfully. Oh, yes, yes, mouse, agreed another, but something else too. Soup, called out another rat. Yes, soup, the others agreed. Blood, sang a rat. Blood, they all agreed together. And then they sang, here, mousie, 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 here, little mousie. Botticelli called out to the other rats. Mine, he said. This little treasure is all mine, gentlemen and ladies. Please, I beg you, do not infringe on my discovery. Mr. Rimorso, said Despereaux. He turned and looked behind him and saw the rats, their red eyes and their smiling mouths. He closed his eyes again. He kept them closed. Mr. Rimorso, he shouted. Yes, said Botticelli. Mr. Rimorso, said Despereaux, and he was crying now and he couldn't help it. Please, the princess. Tears, shouted the rat. We smell tears. Mousie, we do. Please, shouted Despereaux. Little friend, said Botticelli, little Despereaux Tilling, I promise you, and I will keep that promise. The rat stopped. Look ahead of you, he said. What do you see? Despereaux opened his eyes. Light, he said. Exactly, said Botticelli. Light.